Today's lesson is Chapter 4, Lesson 4, Solving Two-Step Inequalities. Our essential question is, how can you use an inequality to describe the dimensions of a figure? Here's our key point right here. You can solve two-step inequalities in the same way you solve two-step equations. So just remember the rules for solving two-step equations, and you'll be able to do these. One additional thing we have to remember. Now, write this down. You should write this as well. Don't forget, if you multiply or divide by a negative number to solve one of these inequalities, so let's put this up here. So again, if you multiply or divide by a negative number to solve the inequality, you must flip the symbol, or you flip the symbol over. So if it was a less than, it now needs to be a greater than, right? So flip the symbol. So that's the really important section right here. If you can remember this, then you can do all of these problems. Let's just look at some examples. The first example, solving two-step inequalities. Solve 5x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 11 and graph the solution. So I get 5x minus 4 greater than or equal to 11. All right, I'm going to solve this just like an equation. I have 5x minus 4, so I have to get rid of the 5 and the minus 4. I'm going to get rid of the minus 4 first. It's less connected with the variable, so I'm going to get rid of that first. The 4's cancel out. I have 5x left on this side. Inequality symbol I bring down. 11 plus 4 is 15. I need to divide by 5 on both sides to get rid of that 5. That's with the x. They cancel out. And I get x is greater than or equal to 3. I did not flip the symbol because I did not divide by a negative number. I need to graph my solution. So I need a 0 and a 3 on my graph. Our starting point is the 3. X can be greater than or equal to it, so it's going to be a closed circle at the 3. And greater than is to the right. To check my solution, I got to take any number to the right of that 3 where the arrow is. So I'm going to take 5. And I'm going to plug it into my original inequality, which was 5x minus 4 greater than or equal to 11. By plugging this in, I'm checking to see whether or not the arrow is going in the right direction. So I'm checking to see if this solution is true. So I'll go ahead and substitute 5 in for x and follow the order of operations. Multiplication before the subtraction, so 5 times 5 is 25. I have minus 4 greater than or equal to 11. Now I can go ahead and subtract. 25 minus 4 is 21, greater than or equal to 11. 21 is greater than 11, so that checks. So that means my arrow is going the correct way. So let's take a look at one more example of this. I have solve b divided by negative 3, or b over negative 3, plus 4 is less than 13. Rewrite this a little larger. Okay, going to solve this like I would an equation. The b on the left side is connected with the negative 3 more than it's connected with the plus 4, so I'm going to get rid of the plus 4 with a minus 4 on both sides. All right, I'm left with b over negative 3 is less than 13 minus 4 is 9. The b is being divided by negative 3, so I'm going to multiply by negative 3 on both sides. Okay, the negative 3 being multiplied on this side with the negative 3 that is being divided is going to cancel out. But I noticed that I was dividing by a negative, which means I have to flip that inequality symbol. The negative 3's are going to cancel out because of multiplication and division. All I have left is b. 9 times negative 3 on the other side is negative 27. So my final answer is b is greater than negative 27. On my graph, I need a 0 and I need a negative 27. So I'm going to put it over here as a reference point. The negative 27 is my starting point. B can be greater than negative 27, but it can't be equal, so it has to be open circle, and greater is to the right. Again, let's check the solution to make sure my arrow is going the correct direction. So I'm going to take any number to the right of negative 27 where my arrow is going. I'm going to take 0. So I'm going to do b over negative 3 plus 4 should be less than 13. If I use 0 for b, 0 over negative 3 plus 4 should be less than 13. Well, 0 divided by negative 13 is just 0. Plus 4 is less than 13. And 0 plus 4 is just 4. And 4 is less than 13. So that works. Check mark. Our arrow should be going in the right direction then. All right, so we got some on your own problems here. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video, take care of these problems, restart the video to check your answers. Okay, let's take a look at the first one here. 6y minus 7 is greater than 5. Treat this like an equation. I'm going to add 7 to both sides to get rid of that minus 7 because it's less connected to the variable y and the 6 was. So negative 7 plus 7 is 0, so I just have 6y on this side. 5 plus 7 is equal to 12, and my inequality sign I just bring down. To get y by itself now, I have to divide by 6 on both sides. And I didn't divide by a negative, I divided by a positive, so I leave the symbol the way it was. Y is greater than 2. If I'm going to graph the solution, I need a 0 and I need a 2 on my graph. Y is greater than 2, not equal to, so I'm going to do an open circle and an arrow to the right. Number 2, 4 minus 3d is greater than or equal to 19. All right, this one's a little trickier. I have 4 and I have this negative 3 or minus 3 that's being multiplied by d. The 4 is less connected, so I have to get rid of it. But this 4 right here doesn't have a sign in front of it. So that means it's a positive. So to get rid of a positive 4, I have to subtract 4 on both sides. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. Positive 4 and negative 4 cancel out to 0. I have to bring down this minus sign with the 3d. So I have negative 3d. All right, that minus sign does not belong to the 4. This minus sign belongs to the 3. All right, so I have negative 3d when I bring it down. And 19 minus 4 on this side is positive 15. Inequality symbol stays the same. Now I have negative 3 times d, so I'm going to get rid of that by, it's being multiplied, so I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. Divide by negative 3. Since I divided by a negative 3, that means I have to flip my inequality symbol. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 cancels out, and all I have left is d. 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5, and I'm ready to graph. So I need a 0, and I need a negative 5 on my line, number line. D can be less than or equal to negative 5, so it can be a closed circle because it could be equal to. And less than means I'm graphing and I'm going to the left. Again, if you wanted to check this, pick a number to the left of negative 5 and plug it in to make sure it's going in the right direction. And our last one here, I have w over negative 4 plus 8 greater than 9. So again, I'm going to get rid of the plus 8 first. It's less connected to the variable. So I'm going to subtract 8. So the 8s are going to cancel out here, and I have w over negative 4. Keep my inequality symbol. 9 minus 8 is 1. Now, to get rid of this divide by negative 4, I need to multiply by negative 4. So I'm going to multiply by negative 4 on both sides. As soon as I multiply by a negative number, I've got to flip my symbol. So I'm going to flip it. Divide by negative 4, multiply by negative 4 cancels out, and I get w is less than 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. So to graph this, I need to put a 0 and a negative 4 on my number line. And w can be less than negative 4, but it can't be equal, so I'm going to have an open circle, and less than means to the left. If you have any questions on those, please make sure to ask when you come back to class. All right, graphing an inequality, which we've been doing. So this is just an extension of what we've been doing. Which graph represents the solution of negative 7 times the quantity x plus 3 is less than or equal to 28? I think the real reason for this particular problem is that we've got this little more complicated problem. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite that. So my advice to this is anytime we have this number that's outside of the quantity with the x plus 3, it really means we should distribute. I would recommend distributing first and then going ahead and solving the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative 7. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times a positive 3, that plus 3 is positive 3. Negative 7 times positive 3 is negative 21, so I'm just going to write negative 21 next to my 7x, or negative 7x. So I have negative 7x minus 21 is less than or equal to 28. Now I can go ahead and solve this inequality. I'm going to add 21 first because I want to, that minus 21 is less connected to my variable. So I'm going to do that. Negative 21 and positive 21 cancel out. I have negative 7x left is less than or equal to 28 plus 21 is 49. To get rid of negative 7 that's being multiplied by x, I'm going to divide it by negative 7 on both sides. So I'll put it over a fraction bar. As soon as I see I'm dividing by negative 7, that tells me I need to flip my inequality symbol. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 cancels out, and I get x. I've flipped my inequality symbol, and 49 divided by negative 7 is a negative 7. Positive divided by negative is a negative. Now I need to graph this because I got to choose which one of these graphs does it match with. So if I was to graph it, I would say, okay, well, I need a 0 on here, and I need a negative 7, because negative 7 is my starting point. X can be greater than or equal to it, so it's a closed circle, and greater than is to the right. So I need to look at these graphs and say, okay, which one of these has a graph where it's starting at negative 7, has a closed circle, and is going to the right? And I'm going to be honest with you, it's really difficult to tell with B and D which one is an open circle. So I can understand if you're confused about this part. So I'm going to just make a decision here and say that B has the open circle. So we're going to go with choice B on this one. So in your note packet, please make a note that in B, this negative 7 has an open circle and the arrow goes to the right. So B would be the right choice for this particular question. Again, it's very difficult to see this here, so hopefully it looks more apparent in your notes. Again, if you have any questions on that, make sure you're asking when you're in class. All right, let's take a look at a real-life example of where we might have to do something like this, solve an inequality with 2 steps. So we have a contestant in a weight loss competition, like The Biggest Loser, wants to lose an average of at least 8 pounds per month during a 5-month period. How many pounds must the contestant lose in the 5th month to meet the goal? Write and solve an inequality. Let X be the number of pounds lost in the 5th month. Okay, we need to look at this question a little more carefully and really see what it's asking about. It says we want to lose an average of at least 8 pounds per month. So what does at least tell us? At least means that's the lowest that it can be. So whatever we're going to lose has to be 8 or bigger per month. All right, so we got to say, okay, our average weight loss, all right, average weight loss has to be at least, which means it has to be bigger than or equal to the 8 pounds per month. All right, 8 pounds per month. That's what it's saying. Our average weight loss has to be greater than or equal to 8 pounds per month. Well, we have to figure out, how do we find the average weight loss? Okay, well, average is the same thing as mean, the mean weight loss. And we know that to find the mean, we have to add up the number of numbers and add up all the number values and divide by the number of numbers. All right, so the average is to add up all the numbers. How many numbers are we going to add? Well, it says there's a 5-month period. So that means we should have numbers for 5 months. In this particular table, they've given us 4 of those numbers. Okay, 4 months, 4 numbers. So there's 1 number that's missing. So that's what we're going to say the variable stands for. Let X be the number of pounds lost in the 5th month. So that's the one that's missing. So right here, we would have a 5th month, and there would be an X because that's what's missing. That's what we need to figure out. So how do we find the average weight loss? We have to add these 5 numbers together and divide by the number of months that we have. So we're going to add those 5 together. That's 12 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus X, the one we don't know. And to find the average, we would divide by 5. And it has to be greater than or equal to 8. So when we look at this left-hand side of this inequality, I see a whole bunch of numbers being added together in the top, and then all of them divided by this 5 in the bottom. When we look at this, kind of think of this like a car right here. Let me get a different color. This is kind of like a car, inside of a car, right? Everything in the numerator is in the front seat. Everything in the denominator is in the back seat. So what I need to get rid of first in solving this inequality is I want to get rid of this 5 down here because it's in the back seat. It's less connected. It's not as close to X as the other numbers are. All right? It's less connected. So what I might want to do here is get rid of this 5. But what I could do is I could add up all these other numbers up in the top first and then add it with X. Just kind of rewrite this before getting rid of that 5. 12 plus 9 is 21, plus 5 is 26. 26 plus 8 is 34. So I'm going to have 34 plus X in the front seat of the car, or in the numerator, divided by 5 in the denominator. So, and that's going to be greater than or equal to 8. Now again, this 5 is really less connected to the variable, so I want to multiply both sides by 5 first. I want to get rid of that 5. So this 5 multiplied by this divide 5 down here is going to cancel out. And all I'm going to have left on this left-hand side is 34 plus X. I'm going to write that over here because I'm running out of room. So 34 plus X. So I'm going to take the answer and put it up here. 34 plus X on the left side is greater than or equal to, I didn't flip the symbol because I multiplied by a positive. 8 times 5 on the right side is 40. Okay? And now I can get X by itself. This 34 over here is positive. There's no sign in front of it, so that makes it positive. To get rid of a positive, I need a negative. So I'm going to minus 34. All right? So I'm going to subtract 34 from both sides. 34 minus 34 is 0. So all I have left over here is X. And then is greater than or equal to 40 minus 34 is 6. What does this X is greater than or equal to 6 mean for this problem? It means that this X right here, this 5th month, I need to lose 6 or more pounds in order to reach my goal of having an average weight loss of 8 pounds per month. So if I lose 6, or I could lose 10, or I could lose 8, those would all fulfill the goal. If I lost 5 or 4, then I would not get my 8 pounds per month average. All right, so that's what that X means. All right, anytime we do one of these word problems, what we get for our answer means something. So please make sure you understand what that means. All right, so there's some on your own problems here that you can go ahead, pause the video, try to solve these problems, and then come back and check your solutions. Okay, number 4, solve the inequality, graph the solution. So you'll notice that I have a situation where I need to distribute first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 2 times K is K. 2 times this negative 5 here, that minus sign goes with the 5. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So I'm going to write that down, is less than 6. Then I can go ahead and solve the problem. I'm going to add 10 to both sides because the 10's less connected. The negative 10, positive 10 cancels out. I left with 2K on the left side is less than 6 plus 10 is 16 on the right side. To get rid of the 2, I'm going to divide by 2 because it's being multiplied by K. 2 divided by 2 cancels out. I get K is less than 16 divided by 2 is 8. And if we're going to graph that, I need a 0. I need an 8 on the board, on the number line. K can be less than 8, but not equal to it, so it's open circle, arrow to the left. Number 5, same thing. We're going to distribute. Negative 4 times positive n is negative 4n. I have a negative 4 out here and a negative 10 inside I'm going to multiply. Negative 4 times negative 10 is positive 40, is less than 32. All right. The variable n is less connected with the 40, so I'm going to get rid of the 40 first. Less connected. 40 and negative 40 cancel out. I have negative 4n on the left is less than 32 minus 40 is negative 8. I need to get rid of this negative 4 that's being multiplied by n, so I'll divide by negative 4 on both sides. As soon as I divide by negative 4, I got to flip my symbol. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 cancels out. I have n is greater than negative 8 divided by negative 4. A negative divided by negative is a positive. 8 divided by 4 is 2. N is greater than 2. So I need a 0 and a 2 on my number line. N can be greater than 2 but not equal, so it's an open circle and a graph or arrow to the right. And the last one, negative 3 is less than or equal to 0.5 times the quantity 8 plus y. So I see again I have a distribution to do, but this time it's on the right-hand side of my inequality, which is no problem. So I'm going to rewrite negative 3 is less than or equal to 0.5 times 8 is 4. 0.5 times positive y is a positive 0.5 y. So I got to get y by itself. So this 4 right here I have to get rid of first. All right, to get rid of that positive 4, I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. 4's cancel out. Positive 4, negative 4 cancel to 0. On the left-hand side, I'm going to have negative 7. Inequality symbol comes down. And on the right-hand side, I have 0.5y. To get y by itself, it's being multiplied by 0.5, so I'm going to divide by 0.5 to get rid of it. But do that on both sides. The 0.5 divided by 0.5 cancels, and I get y on this side. Inequality symbol stays the same because I divided by a positive. Negative 7 divided by 0.5 is negative 14. Oops, forgot the 1 there. Negative 14. To graph this, I need a 0 on my number line. I need a negative 14 somewhere to the left of 0 because negative 14 is less than 0. Y can be greater than or equal to, so that's going to be a closed circle, and greater than is an arrow to the right. All right. In example 3, the contestant wants to lose an average of at least 9 pounds per month. How many pounds must the contestant lose in the 5th month to meet this goal? Well, I got to go back to that question, which is up here. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this, and I'll do the work here so that you can see it with the question. So instead of 8, we're talking about 9 pounds per month. So I'm going to still do it the same way. The average weight loss now has to be greater than or equal to 9. How do I get the average weight loss? I add up all the pounds that we lose each month. But again, it's going to still be during 5 months. So that means I need a 5th month here. And we're looking for how much we're going to have to lose in that last month to make this average. So we have to add all these 5 numbers up and then divide it by how many months we have. So I'm going to have 12 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus x divided by the number of numbers, which is 5. 5 months has to be greater than or equal to 9. Again, in the numerator, I'm going to add all these numbers together, combine like terms. 12 plus 9 is 21. 21 plus 5 is 26. 26 plus 8 is 34. So I get 34 plus x in the numerator divided by 5 has to be greater than or equal to 9. Here's where I got to say, okay, this 34 and the x are both in the numerator, so they're more connected because the 5's in the denominator. So I want to get rid of this 5 first. It's less connected. Right now, this says divide by 5, so I want to multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay? Multiply by 5 and divide by 5 are going to cancel out. All I have left on this side is 34 plus x. All right? I bring down my inequality symbol, and 9 times 5 on the other side, on the right side, is 45. So now I need to continue solving by getting rid of this 34. It's a positive 34, so I'm going to get rid of it by subtracting 34 from both sides. And when I do that, the 34 and minus 34 cancels out to 0. All I have left is x greater than or equal to 45 minus 34 is equal to 11. So that means in the last month I have to lose, in that 5th month I have to lose at least 11 pounds, 11 or more pounds, in order to make the average weight loss be greater than or equal to 9 pounds per month. All right, so that took care of your last on your own problem. All right, so what we have here is some exercises. So you'll see the highlighted ones here. Those are the ones that you need to solve on your own. Write these out on a piece of paper and make sure you turn this into your teacher when you return to class. It's also really important that if you don't understand something that's going on in this lesson, make sure you come to class with questions so that we can give you some more examples to help you understand this better.